Just gotta roll.
They're gonna scream.
Yeah, I would, but I want to blow people's. People listen to headphones, you know.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
So
Probably bad news.
Truth Behind Illusion, episode 53, Screaming Skulls. Let's all talk in gimmick voices the whole time. Let's do it.
I
don't
can't do a
think
gimmick voice.
I'm just getting my voice back.
Oh boy,
I lost it on
From
PPW.
PPW,
Yeah,
yeah.
I totally lost it.
I bet no one knows that's a local wrestling thing. So people might be like, "What's PPW? Is
would
that
get
some,
shocked.
is
I think
that
there's
some
some-
drug?"
I think we have some crossover.
But I mean, if you
Yeah.
had, if you didn't know, I'm
yeah,
saying no.
yeah. If you don't know, I do commentary at PPW,
on the streets.
and you are current WYLN champion.
Yeah, 2-time baby,
Two-time champion.
2-time.
Yep. And Kelly is she helps with everything else at the show. She's
Yeah.
behind the scenes with 50/50s and gives the
Yeah,
hugs.
I got to be a 50-50 girl
Oh, there
for the
you
first
go.
time in my life.
There it is.
I was a 50-50 girl for a hot second.
On the old Betty's. Give me a length of the arm.
Yeah,
Not her arm.
See,
it's
where,
not long
where I
enough.
come from, it was always the young girls that got to do 50-50, or cheerleaders done
There
50-50.
you
No,
go.
not the old girls, not the old women.
Yeah. But I mean, the old Betty's are the ones who buy it.
Little
Oh,
broads.
yeah.
It's like
No
lottery
broads.
tickets.
Yeah, it's fun. But before we get started, it's the IWEP Network. Head over to IWEPnetwork.com. Check out the rest of our shows. We had some changes. Some shows are coming back because people are willing to help.
The
And
football show, is that coming back?
no, that one's definitely not coming back.
I'm not going to be on that one. I'm sorry, guys.
Nearby.
But yeah, so check out the network. Check
How
out all
much
of our
does
cool
this guy
shows.
weigh?
Yeah,
That's what I would say.
and
That's
then
Why is the flag out there?
why are they kneeling?
Why are they kneeling?
But yeah, so check out that our merch page is up, and we do have our brand new. I don't know if you guys seen it at the top of the show, but I should have probably put it in the overlay. Let's see if I can still fix it. But we put up our brand new logo. That is the 3 of Cups inspired logo, done once again by Haley Stokes.
A tarot card.
It is
Yes, and then when you put it up, I'll explain the significance of us being in the 3 of Cups,
yeah,
if you can.
there it is.
So the 3 of Cups, traditionally in tarot, it is basically like what you see there. It commemorates like friendship, a community, party kind of essence. Cups are about emotions you go through.
Okay.
Cup aligns with the water element, and that usually aligns with like your emotions and how your feelings are. This is usually a very joyful card, a card that celebrates something of some sort, or sometimes in
Oh.
if you're doing a love reading, it could be that you have a love triangle.
Whoa.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Hey now.
We
Yeah.
don't have a love. I mean,
We don't have a love triangle. It was made in.
we have a love triangle, but it's not a physical
Yeah, you
love
go. No.
triangle.
It's the twin flame. What's the three-way flame?
So it really commemorates. I would think, or I'd like to believe, us as friends. And
Yeah.
that
Oh, there you go.
we are good together. So-
And once again, a little humor in there of me chugging while you
Yes.
guys are already toasting. Because
Mhm.
if you watch a show, I like to consume some beers during the
Yes.
show.
Whoa, hey.
Yeah, I can't do anything about that. Yeah, so the logo is up on our Redbubble. You can go to our link tree below and do that. Patreon is there if you want to sign up for the brand new Patreon. It's just general support. I will shout some people out if you donate like a good, like, say if you said I do like $10 and like, hey, every
Oh,
episode
yeah.
can you plug my podcast or you can plug this, we will 100% do that.
Mhm.
We split it up again. I don't know if we talked about the last episode, but we split it up because instead of all being on the network, each podcast now has its own thing, so we can kind of see which podcasts are getting the response. Because if you're not listening to the other podcasts and we're shouting you out and it doesn't make any sense if you're only listening to this one show, so we spread it all out so you can support that way. There's also a donation tab. If you do a donation, we're not like cool yet where it pops up on the screen, but I do get an alert if
Oh, okay.
PayPal hits.
Hey, that's
So we can like, hey,
Yeah.
thank you for so much for the $1 donation on PayPal. Or we'll just lie and say we're getting a bunch of donations and make us feel good about
Like those
ourselves.
porn videos I've never seen when you give money, it goes ching ching ching.
Yeah, yeah.
And the girl goes, thank you.
And also you can leave us a review or check us out on any platform. Facebook has reviews. You can leave a comment now and say, hey, like all that stuff.
Spotify.
Feedback helps. Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You can go on our website and leave a review. And we want to start reading
Mhm.
reviews on the podcast. So help us out with that. But
And Spotify is cool too, because if you have a podcast and when it comes in your new editions or what newest stuff, like it will be
Yeah.
songs and a new episode of podcast is in there too.
Yeah.
So it's not separated.
yeah, if you follow it, it'll
Yeah.
put it in your
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. As long as you add it to your favorites or whatever.
Yeah, and then the audio side of things too, we just became monetized. I believe we get like a cent per play.
Mhm.
Hey,
It's something crazy. It's not
100
very-
plays is $1.
There you go. And we're not getting anywhere close to that. But
$100 is
We will be in time.
$100.
yeah, I mean,
Good
listen,
time.
if one person, if we get people that listen 100 each episode, 100 plays, like we'll be set. That'd be fantastic. But
Mhm.
we're just not there yet. So we put it up, and currently, are you guys ready?
Mhm.
70 cents.
Oh, hey.
We're almost
Hey.
we can get a double cheeseburger soon. No, I think
No, I don't think you can get any.
No.
I don't think there's a $1 menu
we
anymore.
can't even get an apple
Yeah,
pie.
it's probably $1.25 menu.
Yeah, $1.25 menu.
We're trying to hit $11. Is it $11 and some odd cents on Bangin' Beers? Because that's a 24 pack of Milwaukee's Best. So that's all the stuff we got here. Let's get into our and if you are in the chat, let us know that you're here. Say hi to us, and we'll put it up on the screen. We already have one heart, and it's from Sam.
Oh, thanks, Sam.
It's our boy Sam.
He's probably out getting the Pepe's.
Wonder who
ice
he's
cream
connected
right
to.
I don't know.
He's part of the real love
Yeah, I love triangle.
triangle. I mean, maybe it's triangle. You guys-
Yeah, we don't know.
No.
We don't judge what you guys do.
Yeah.
on the side.
No.
If you guys are doing your own little three
No,
cups,
it's
you know.
just me and him. Me and him. That's it.
You used
Did
to
you-
in the transmissions, right?
I apparently pissed some people off because he was like, "Oh yeah, these transmissions are done and going to Victory Lane," and I'm like, I reshared and I'm like, "Somebody come adopt these babies. They need a good home. They need out of my goddamn garage." And he's like, "They have owners already." I'm like, "Okay."
So I'm not sure what's happening here with Facebook, but it says loving the show already. I'm not quite sure who that is. So if you actually just type your name so we can see, because for some reason Facebook is not giving us.
Unless you want to be anonymous.
Unless you want to be anonymous,
it just says Facebook user.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's on.
There's
the
no
screen,
picture.
yeah.
So, did you put up those pictures or load?
Yeah,
up
they
those
are
pictures?
there, yeah.
Okay. Can you pull up the black and white one that looks like it's from? Because somebody had. And I'm sorry, I don't remember the person had put it
Millie.
on our. Was it Millie?
Millie.
Okay.
Yes.
They had put it on our group page there, and this was caught, I guess, at the Amarillo Zoo on May 21st at about 1:30 in the morning. Security cameras caught this walking around the zoo, and you can definitely tell there's some cage going on there. There's some like chain link fence.
So
And whether this is a guy in a suit, because you have some definite legs there.
which side is the picture being taken from? Inside the zoo or outside?
I think
the zoo?
outside looking at the zoo.
Yeah, outside looking at the barrier.
Okay,
fence.
so we're looking into the zoo.
Yeah,
Okay. So
No, I think we're looking.
from inside the zoo looking out,
Oh, okay.
Like this thing
okay.
is
like it's
going
watching
around.
the
Like
security.
it's trying to come
Yeah.
in. Doesn't it look like an 8-bit character from a video game?
It looks like an 8-bit.
Like, it's very pixelated.
what's
like,
that?
Well, it's not pixelated. It's that chain link fence. I think. make
Yeah,
it
but I
that
mean,
way.
even it's very
Fuzzy.
yeah.
But it even
What's the old Sega game?
Alter Beast?
It looks like Alter Beast.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
like doing the walk like a monster. It just looks like a lame like you just go and kill it in one shot.
It looks like a werewolf with like the Michael Jackson Thriller
Yeah,
mane.
it looks like
Yeah.
it has long hair and it looks like it's holding a fork in one hand or something.
It does
Or a
look like
spatula.
yeah,
And he's just
spatula.
walking along. He's the ones flip some burgers or something. Maybe he's making some pancakes.
Well, I seen people talk about it like maybe it's a chupacabra.
Well, here's the
I
thing.
seen Dustin Rhodes. This is what sparked my attention to because it said Dustin Rhodes was on Twitter, and then anybody knows Dustin Rhodes is a wrestler, and he's apparently really into the paranormal as well. He said he saw 2 chupacabras in his life, and he said
Oh,
that was
wow.
not one. But people were speculating.
It looks like at least over 4 or 5 feet, right?
Yeah, I would think
Yeah.
so.
Like a fence.
It doesn't look over 6 foot because let's say that fence both if it's the zoo, but
Well,
there's
he
barbed
is
wire.
a couple steps away from the fence.
Yeah,
so he's
yeah.
not right up on
Yeah.
it. But
Yeah.
but there's
And to
barbed
me,
wire at the
when
top.
you
So
pull it
like
up, and this might be just me and my craziness, but if you pull up the closer one,
Mhm.
it looks like it almost has 2 heads or 2 faces because you have that.
Oh, like right here.
Yes, right there, and then right there looking at you. Unless
it could be
caught it in a
looking at the
shot,
camera, and that could just be the other side of
like
his hair.
the fuzzy, yeah, like his fur or something or whatever.
You know what
it
it kind of
is.
looks like too, like a stereotype of like a Native American with a wolf headdress on.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And maybe it's a Native American spirit.
Right.
Where was this?
Oh,
at?
that's Tantalizing
Amarillo.
Tony hanging out with us. Thank
Okay.
you for hanging out, Tony.
Thanks,
thanks.
Tony.
tantalizing.
It
Like
looks
Crash
like Crash
I
Bandicoot.
can see that.
Yeah,
Rubik.
it does. It could.
Boom, boom,
Yes,
boom,
it kind of does look like Crash Dana.
Yeah, interesting. So that's a paranormal news that's going
Mhm.
around the
Yeah,
internet right now.
That's floating around the
It's a
internet.
cool picture. Well, it could be smoke, it could be light. I don't know. It's kind of see through. So maybe something from another dimension.
I'll just wait for the Kryptonite podcast
Yeah,
guys to
to-
cover it.
And see
I
what
will
they,
say quick too that
I don't know
we-
if there's much on that except
we're going from the chupacabra / werewolf or whatever it may be to we also have a full moon tonight or today. It
Oh,
was
boy.
full at
my.
7:15 this morning. It's the full strawberry moon tonight. Last night you could see it. Tonight you'll see it again, and it's supposed to be a super moon, so it'll look bigger than it naturally does.
So- does the full moon last 24 hours?
Yes.
Okay. And why?
It energetically it lasts 2 days. Like a day
Oh.
before it, the day of, and then the day after. You
my.
can work with it energetically.
Why is it called a strawberry moon?
A strawberry moon.
In season?
Yeah, it's in season. So
Are you serious?
yes,
It's like
in
not red or
season.
anything.
Some of it turns red, and here's the thing: the atmospheric pressure and levels, you'll turn red, orange, or like pink.
Yeah.
Times two. So I don't really consider that the strawberry moon because it turns pink, because it's at different levels in the sky. It'll look different colors. You know what I mean? So I say it's strawberry moon because they're in season right now.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Mm-hmm. I have a whole book on
Whoa.
different
That's
moons.
That's that creature.
It's
Yeah.
coming.
Yeah,
That's
that's
a
our little
walking-
chupacabra here.
Why does the zoo have barbed wire at the top of the fence though?
So people can't climb in.
Yeah.
I
Don't you think there's some asshole out there
Yeah,
that would
I'm sure
climb
there
in
is,
and
but,
try
like-
and steal an armadillo?
Or like
Yes.
PETA
Like-
people that are going to try
Yeah.
to free them.
I guess I never thought about this. I never thought about people coming in. I thought about animals trying to get out, but like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't think animals would care about
Barbed wire.
barbed wire. They'll probably dig underneath it if anything.
Yeah, if they could. It depends on what animal.
Yeah.
You know.
All right, well, let's
It's a
get in.
gazelle. He ain't digging.
Let's get into our.
Yeah, let's get in our.
Well, real
topic.
quick before we get into it, if anyone's listening too, we do have on our website as well. If you go to the links, a form for people to sign up to come on the show. We do have some people lined up coming.
I have one in the end of July that she wants to come on and talk about her haunted doll collection. So
There you
we have
go.
a haunted doll collection, and we might weave Annabelle into it too.
We should reach out to Austin as well from Tornado Tag, because
Okay.
I believe his girlfriend is super into like metaphysical stuff.
Well,
Like
that
you.
would be great. I would love to have
you
a
would
partner.
have someone to partner up
Yeah.
with for an episode,
Mm.
talk
Love to have a
metaphysical stuff.
partner.
What'd you get? Heidi just got home.
Heidi.
Oh
is,
yeah, she just completely
Tony's wife. For those that
took
don't
it
know.
off. Turn it. There you go.
Yeah,
Good.
she
Stop,
does
leave
the
it go.
thing
Leave it
here.
go. Right there.
I was gonna say,
The dog hit the camera. She was just out like not too long ago. She plays you.
I was just gonna
Well,
start.
they all
I was
play
gonna start
us.
reading
All
while you
right.
talk to
Yeah.
her. Just
So let's go to England.
early radio.
Really funny, real fast. Heidi will come downstairs and I wake up before Heidi. So I was like, because my sleep schedule's fucked up, and I'll take the dog out.
Mhm.
And then Heidi will come down and the dog will like give her the sign like she has to go out again. And Heidi's like, you never take the dog out. I'm like, she has you trained. She's trained you.
Yeah.
Because then she comes in and gets a treat when
Yeah.
Heidi. 'Cause
Oh,
she goes
okay.
out and she literally goes out and pretends to squat pee, and then comes in the house and gets a treat.
There you
That's
go.
how mine
Hey,
is.
damn.
And then I get in trouble for not taking the dog out.
Animals are smart.
Yep.
Fucking bitch.
Then I have my mom that comes into the house. Oh, every time I come into the house, here's a treat, Max. Here's a treat. Oh,
Yeah.
here's a treat for being cute. I'm like, no, treats don't
Yeah,
happen just because you're cute.
there it is. But anyway,
Why not? I wish they did. Anyway, screaming skulls. Let's talk about them. So I wrote a little thing here, and then I took from a website, right? But it was very British, so I had to retype a lot and put punctuation and get rid of words, and because a lot of them aren't even spelled right for us, but in England they are. And I was like, that makes no sense. So there was one that was like Ghost of England or something, and there was another one. So I took from a bunch of websites, and it was painstaking to go through and retype
Yes.
a lot of it. So, the British legend of several haunted human skulls that don't want to be touched and have displayed everything from screams to active poltergeist activity have intrigued, puzzled, and terrified England and surrounding areas for almost 200 years. This is a look at the screaming skulls of England. So first, there's a bunch of them. We're going to focus on two. This is the Bettiscombe skull. And the location, I don't know England at all, but it was Lyme Regis in Dorset, England. So Lyme Regis by the town. Dorset's like the country, Providence.
Yeah.
And then obviously England, the UK. The original story tells, also awesome names for this, for those who listen. People, you want to name your kid one of these names? I highly support that. Very metal names, too. The original story tells of Azariah Penny. The last name sucks, first name's awesome. Who was banished to the West Indies in 1685 for supporting the Duke of Monmouth. What an asshole he was. He soon became a very successful businessman and returned back to his home of England with one of his black slaves. The slave often thought, what did I say? Oh, there we go. The slave often thought to have been a West Indian native, but could also have been from Africa. They're not some of the stories too. Also, there's like branches you could go. There's different ways. As most slaves were in those days. Oh, that they African, as most slaves were in those days. Yes. He became ill upon his deathbed and made one last request that his body be buried back in his native home. And then some say that he didn't make that the guy Azariah said that, and then some said Azariah was a slave. So it's all over the place, but this is kind of the one
it fits a
common
good
thread.
story.
Yeah. So This here's some variation of the story. He also was said to have demanded that his body be returned to the native ground, or a terrible curse would befall Bettiscombe Manor, and that's where the Azariah Pinney lived. Azariah promised him that he would fulfill the last request, and that the slaves and he would fulfill the last request, and the slave soon passed away after that. The promise was never kept, and Azariah buried him in a local churchyard located a short distance from the house. As soon as the body was buried, people began hearing roars, moans, and screams coming from where the body was buried. It's like right away, like he's in one day. Ah! Like, the locals didn't take too kindly to the noisy corpse.
I mean,
who both terrified and annoyed their peaceful country village.
well, I mean, you have to realize I'm going to take you away from your homeland so you could be my slave.
Yeah.
But I promise to take your dead body back.
Mm-hmm.
Spoiler alert. They're not fulfilling that promise.
Probably not.
On Lonesome Dove, they did. If you've ever seen Lonesome Dove, they take
Who guest starred Bret Hart for one episode, possibly two.
Yeah. I'm shocked they put him in an actual cemetery. Like,
Yeah,
with,
apparently
at that time with other like white folk.
black guy.
Yeah.
Apparently, this Azariah was a nice guy to his slaves. Though. Apparently, as much as that sounds ridiculous,
Yeah.
you know, he was one of the good owners, I guess you could say there. So where was I here? Azariah was forced to remove the body at once. The slave was then removed and placed up on a loft back at Bettiscombe Manor. So they took the body and put it up in the attic, supposedly, where it slowly decomposed and somehow only the skull remained. Isn't that coincidental? Some versions of stories tell that the body being shipped back to its home in West Indies, Africa, and the skull remained behind. So somehow the skull and body separated, possibly, but the skull remained no matter what, right? Depending on what the story said. Over the years, many attempts to get rid of the skull have been made, only to find soon after its removal that screams and other strange phenomena would soon follow. It would not cease until the skull was placed back inside the manor. One instance, the skull was thrown into the depths of a nearby pond by a resident of the manor. He was said to be so appalled by the appearance of the skull that he immediately ran outside and threw it into the local pond. What? Fuck this. Can you imagine that? Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, if it screamed from water, it'd be like, you've ever played WoW? The Murlocs. Okay. The resident was troubled by screams and moans all night long. Man, might not be a bad night, though, screams and moans.
It might not have been the skull.
Yeah, it might have been somebody else.
Might have been a cheating wife.
And the next day, he quickly retrieved the skull.
With one of the slaves.
Yeah. He quickly retrieved the skull and replaced it back inside the manor where it resided for some time. Now, how do you get the skull from the bottom of the fucking pond?
You don't.
Yeah. That's a little crazy. It is said that on one particular night of the year, a ghostly coach, this is awesome, hurtles up the road from Bettiscombe Manor to the local churchyard. The locals call this incident the funeral procession of the skull. And that's it. It just, this ghostly thing comes up and like, hey, we're coming for the skull. We're going to take it, even though it doesn't want to be taken. A writer by the name of Eric Maples spent a night in the manor with the skull in the 1960s and claimed to have not heard any screaming, but was apparently plagued by nightmares. Well, it was the 60s. What was he doing? He declined an offer to stay a second night and hastily left the manor. The owners of Bettiscombe Manor are now never bothered by the skull. They, of course, never removed it from its home, located in a box in the dresser drawer. And that's the picture that I was saying how you can't save.
Maybe it lost his voice.
Yeah, it screamed too much. In 1963, an archaeologist named Michael Pinney owned the Bettiscombe Manor, a descendant of Azariah. And he had the skull examined by a pathologist. The skull was tested by Professor Gilbert Cossey of the Royal College of Surgeons. The professor concluded that the skull belonged to a prehistoric woman in her 20s and did not belong to a black man at all. Rather, it belonged to a European woman who died 3,000 to 4,000 years ago. But where the hell would they get that?
Yeah.
Like,
you never let the truth get in the way of a good story.
Yeah, but like let's say I had a skull that this is my great uncle or whatever.
And in always every story, there's a shred of truth.
But it turns out to be a prehistoric skull. Where the fuck did I get a prehistoric skull?
It's just been passed down.
Yeah,
they're like, hey, this is the skull of a black guy, and they're like, it's a female, and it's not even close.
But like somebody found an old ass skull at some point. That's still crazy.
It could have been
too.
digging for like a house or a foundation and stuff. And found it.
The backstory and the whatever it was that was attached to it is the reason why it was preserved and kept so well.
I mean, yeah, 3,000 to 4,000 years. My God. The fossilized skull is believed to have been submerged in the well near the manor house at the foot of Pilsen Pen. What a name that is. A hill that covers, and this is Pillsbury, is a hill that covers the Iron Age ritual plot. Ooh, my. The skull may have come from the hill itself, and the shiny surface of the skull may be the result of its immersion in the well and the minerals contained therein. Like I said, and that's the picture. If you type in Bettiscombe, Screaming Skull, Bettiscombe Manor, it will come up, and it's like sitting, there's like a mural behind it, but it does look like brown, like shiny. So maybe it was some skull that
did they
found in
abandon the
well.
whole? Did they abandon the whole slave story?
No, well, this is what this guy said. So then people are like, well, we
mean,
don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. Like, honestly, yes, is he?
I mean, they can do research and be like, this is not like a female skull is different from a
male,
male
right? But
skull.
it could have been just a small male
Now
skull too. Like,
now in the 60s, CSI wasn't what it is
No.
today. Like today with DNA and testing all that stuff. But
I mean, if they took a sample of the skull, they might be able to see better if it was truly a female or not.
Oh, isn't that what they did?
I don't think so.
I thought they said they tested the skull and found that it was.
But
it
testing the skull could also be craniology. What is that called? Phrenology, like just examining the bumps and the lumps and stuff in the head, because
it
females
was
have different.
63.
Yeah,
so.
females have different
Well, they were-
characteristics than that.
We were pretty long, but I mean,
The men in the
don't
head.
expect it to be like today.
Yeah.
You know. Okay, so the reasons why that skull might have been in the well itself. Skulls or severed heads were often used as offerings to water spirits in ancient times. Hence the, it was 3,000, 4,000 years old. They were placed in wells and ponds and believed to hold spirits who would protect and guard the homestead as long as they were treated with respect. The sacred heads were feared so much that many would not even speak of where the heads lay for fear of bad luck. Stone heads were also used for guardians and luck purposes and can still be seen this day around England and the UK.
So when you go to England and they say, you want a nice glass of water from our well outside?
Yeah, there's an old skull in
You
there.
can keep your fucking dead head water
Might
out
be,
of
Head
might be
water.
some good minerals coming out of that
it.
after 4,000 years, or
Yeah.
everything that came out of it's probably out of it. By
It's
then.
like drinking the water from the
There
Cecil Hotel.
There is a sacred well in England, and I think I've mentioned it before. I just want to mention it quick again. The Glastonbury Well
Ooh, Glastonbury.
is very popular with the metaphysical movement, and it is very popular. It dates back. It has some lore even into Avalon and King Arthur and stuff. It's very beautiful. If you do type it in, they do drink from that still. People buy water from that because they figure it's very healing. It is very different. So
Would you own a real human head if you were allowed?
I don't know what I really want with it.
if
Is
it
it a
came
celebrity?
with so the one story I might read it.
Yeah.
It came with the house. If it came with the house, hell yeah, I'd keep it there. It's the protector.
I mean, if it's a
It's been
skull, I
there.
don't want like the skin and stuff. Like
No,
shrunken
just
heads.
like
It's
this.
the
Like it would just be
skull,
a skull.
Oh, that wouldn't
Just-
bother me because to me, is it real? Is it not? But it's
You
real.
have a worry about decay and like the smell of
Yeah, I don't want to
human
smell it.
flesh
Like,
No, no
decaying.
flesh, no smell. It's
if it was a 4,000-year skull, I'm like, yeah, let's put it up. It wouldn't bother me.
put like Christmas lights
Yeah.
inside.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go that far.
Banana in its eye.
A cigar in its mouth.
Yeah. A wine
The
glass
cigar in
next
his
to it.
mouth would be cool.
Yeah.
That would be considered an offering to it.
Oh yeah.
Oh my!
There you go.
Cigar,
Not
or a
disrespectful
little
at all.
cup of whiskey. Yeah.
They like that back prehistoric times.
What if he died because he was an alcoholic and then you're just taunting him in his afterlife?
You never
Too
know.
bad. He'd probably love it. He'd be like, yes, more alcohol.
So this skull, whether it's a slave or not, still remains at the manor to this day. Just in case the professor is wrong. To add further confusion about the skull's origin, another popular story is that Azariah and the slave originally had a fight to the death, the skull being the only thing that remained of the loser. Only nobody knows which one is lost. So maybe the slave won and it's Azariah's skull. I like that.
Little Django story
twist.
happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because then they took off and nobody's seen. They fought at night, killed each other.
Now, what if
hacked
you buy a
each other off.
house and the skull's there and you're like, oh, the skull's here? And you're like, not anymore. Like, how do you just you chuck it in the pond?
No.
Like,
Yeah,
There's-
but then you hear screams and moans all night.
I'll take the chance.
It's but there might be.
In the story I'll tell later, that's one thing that happens and the skull comes back. Like
Yeah.
nobody digs it out and it just comes back.
They might be. I don't know. Like porno sounds. I'm like, that's not bad. I mean, it'd be annoying at times,
Oh
but
my God.
screams and moans. I
Keep
mean,
going.
can you imagine? It just
The
sounds
moaning
like
skull.
Sex. Yeah,
Yeah, and everyone,
sex skull.
yeah, everyone immediately thinks of like,
Yeah, no.
and it's like,
Ah!
and it's like,
Yeah.
Oh my God.
What? That skull just said harder. What?
this is the skull of of Judy and Terrence,
Yeah.
who both had heart attacks during sex, and their skulls still moan in the
Yeah.
afterlife.
They're still
Oh my God.
replaying
If
that
that's
sex.
if that's wacky, then anything else we talk about is just is on the same level.
Like I said, if you die and then you relive that moment over and over, if they die during sex, just keep reliving it.
There you go.
One way to go.
Just your cheeks clap
Yeah.
for all eternity.
Oh, God. What's your
Oh,
next
boy.
one?
So then I had a skull legend here.
We need a brothel head skull.
Wikipedia says that some different details. Beresco Manor, a manor house in the village, is known as the House of the Screaming Skull due to the legend dating from the 17th century. Other ghost stories are also associated with the manor. How about it? The legend maintains that the skull is that, this is what Wikipedia says, of a Jamaican slave. John Frederick Pinney disposed of the Nevis estates, that's where the slave was apparently, and returned to the family home of Beresco Manor in the early 19th century, by one of the family's faithful black servants. While in his master's service, the servant was taken seriously ill with suspected tuberculosis. This is a little bit different, this tale. And this is when the guy, as the slave was dying, the servant swore that he would never rest unless his body was returned to his homeland. So that's a little bit different. Now he's not cursing. He's saying, I would never rest if you take my body back. So, what was I there? As he lay dying.
Seems a little similar, though.
Yeah.
I mean,
But when he
Alright.
died, the guy refused to pay for such an expensive burial and instead
Yeah.
had the body buried in the grounds of St. Stephen's Church Cemetery, which makes sense. And then after the burial, ill fortune plagued the village for many months, the whole village, and screams of crying were heard coming from the cemetery. Other disturbances reported from the manor house, such as windows rattling, doors slamming of their own accord, and the village went to the manor to seek advice. The body of the servant was exhumed and the body taken to the manor house. In the process of time, the skeleton has long since vanished. Okay, except for the skull. So Wikipedia's story a little bit different, but the guy's saying, hey, if you don't take my body back, I'll come back to haunt you. Not so much a curse.
what if he took the body, but he's like, your head's staying here?
Yeah, I that's a loophole then.
That is a loophole. Your body technically went home.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But we're keeping your head for some strange reason.
You didn't.
We don't have enough money to send your body. But if we cut off your head, then we have enough.
When we put it in the Amazon box, your head wouldn't fit.
For anything like this, can you imagine going back in that time and actually being the mortician that has to cut off that person's head?
But why would they cut that head off? Why?
Or they
I
just
got better things to do.
or they dug it up and they're just like. So here's my question:
It
like,
broke.
is it like is it like a fresh body and they put it in the ground and then they're like, oh,
Well, yeah,
it's been moaning for a week. Let's dig it. Let's dig up
Yeah.
his actual body.
So
I thought it was just paranormal enough that it appears, the skull appears in the house.
no, the skull is still
See,
in the
that's
house.
the one I researched. It just appears. It appears in the house.
No, the skull's still there.
No, she's
Well,
saying
Is it? It just nobody takes
body's
it out of
put
the
in the ground
ground.
and, and then all of a
Nobody's
sudden
picking it out of the ground. It just appears.
Oh, magically
the
appeared.
skull's
No,
just
no,
hopping
no.
around
But
like
a lot I read,
the
someone
Addams
goes and
Family.
physically gets the skull, puts it back, so that everything stops.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Then everything will stop if it puts back. But then, wouldn't the slave still be upset that his body isn't back in his home?
sounds like
You
sounds
know?
like poltergeist.
Yeah, that's what the one said. Poltergeist activity happened where.
Isn't that what happened in the movie Poltergeist? They found the skull and then
No, the movie Poltergeist totally different. We'll
I-
talk
I-
about that
I-
off air. That was they were buried. They put
Indian
this
burial
housing.
ground, right?
Yeah, not Indian burial ground, just a burial ground. They moved They moved the headstones on this new housing development.
I thought like one of the other.
It was-
ones,
it was
like
a graveyard-
Poltergeist 2 or 3. They found like the head.
Oh, possibly. Didn't it get a little off the rails?
No. And that might have been 3 then. 2 I know was the old priest or the old cult leader came after Caroline because he felt the connection to her because he was underneath the original house and the
Mm.
If you
Go
don't-
ahead.
If
I'm
you don't
sorry.
Put, if
I
you
can
don't
go
put
on
me
and
in the
on.
trash, I'm gonna be a screaming skull.
Yeah, I want to be a screaming skull. I want to be a moaning and screaming skull. Oh, fuck! I just yell. I'm sitting. It's like it's a Tourette skull.
yeah.
Oh God.
I want.
Shit!
I want to be a fart.
But these skulls, they do more than just moan. Too,
I wanna be a
apparently.
farting
It's
pelvic
like
bone.
it's poltergeist activity. It's they cause thunderstorms too out of nowhere. I've read. These things are actually pretty neat.
They cause like a basic hauntings.
Yeah.
okay, okay.
haunting.
Footsteps and
So-
stuff. And
Haunting. I'll give you maybe. They
Mhm.
haunt. They can control the weather.
That's what it says.
Stop
They can
it.
be like storm.
Get out of here.
Hey,
I don't.
anything can happen.
Oh, yeah. So I guess if you're coming back from the undead, you can control the weather.
That's
you know?
right.
Yeah, like all of a sudden you become Storm from X-Men.
Don't
Yeah.
you think? No, wait. No, like if you're coming back from the jet, you have an energetic
Uh-huh.
presence, still an energetic charge. Well, what's a storm? What's electricity? It's energy.
That's true.
You can conduct that.
So, but then maybe
I'm
someone can
just
take the
going on
skull. Like, we need rain.
Yeah. Just think how many dead people we've had in the history of our planet.
Yeah. We have to be a certain type to come back, and
It would rain every day.
possess
well,
things.
well, when you come back, you usually have a story to tell. So now this slave, he was pissed off because his body didn't come back to the place he wanted it, right? So he was pissed off he didn't come back. My story, there's a revenge story on it. So it was their revenge. I'll tell you, but it's stuff,
gonna say,
powerful stuff
if
like that
you've-
can attach itself to your body, b something that you have.
So if you and the if we find out that you die, right?
Mhm.
Boop, lights are out, you're dead. Afterlife is whatever it is, whatever your spiritual belief is. The afterlife is this amazing place, right?
Mhm.
And you realize that your body was just that shell. It doesn't matter anymore. You're moving on. You're on to bigger and better things. And you're like, oh, look it's Disneyland. But they didn't put my body where I wanted it. I'm going back
Some
to
people
scream.
get stuck. Some
You
people,
might. It's like the people that want to see the manager. and
I
stuff.
would-
Like, why are you even?
I'd be like,
who
you're a
cares?
fucking idiot. You're
Yeah.
still go
Some people
away.
but some people get stuck in that anger and that hatred and don't see the light.
Yeah.
They get stuck there, and then they're here. That's the thing.
I guess I don't know, but he's still not. His body's still at the manor. Maybe he wanted to be at the manor then. So the story's all over the place a little bit, but it is a cool story that
If you really wanted to go
with the
back home,
skull.
why didn't when he died? Just be like, yeah, I'm gonna go haunt where I wanted
Yeah,
to be.
can I go
anywhere.
back? Yeah, I guess you have to
Maybe-
go where your remains are.
Mm,
I don't know that.
see that I don't know. That I can't for
We
say for
don't-
sure because
we don't know
can,
any of this.
you-
We're
you
all
can- because
speculating.
people say you can be attached to your bones and body, and then like people love to say, oh, cemeteries and stuff are haunted. I guess some cemeteries are, but 90% of the cemeteries, and I'm a cemetery file. I like going in and seeing the art and the stones. Most of them I go through are very peaceful. I never feel
Yeah,
anything.
usually.
Why would you haunt a cemetery?
Yeah,
Right.
of all places. Like,
and then
nothing
like
happening
some
there.
people like, but I feel more stuff like if I go to an antique show or an antique shop, flea market, and I'm picking up a piece of jewelry that somebody had, I feel more from that somebody could be attached to something like that. They're like, this will be wild to both of you, but there was a rocker I bought at a flea market. I didn't actually buy it.
a
Sammy-
chair, not a musician.
No,
Just wanna straighten that out.
yeah, a rocking chair. I'm sorry,
She bought Steven
Well, I
Tyler.
call it rocker.
a
But I
rocking
just, you know,
chair.
if someone's thinking, oh,
Yeah.
well, this she got some money.
I bought a rocking chair when Sammy bought the rocking chair, and as soon as he bought it, it's like, oh, I don't want this thing. Oh, I don't want this thing. And still to this day, it never came into my house. It's in one of my back room sheds.
Hmm.
So I tried smudging it, and I did smudge most of it away. I used mint to smudge it because when you buy something from an antique shop or something like that, mint is actually better than white sage. So I smudged it the best I could, but I still am eerie about it. Like there's something attached to this stupid
We'll have
rocker.
to show us a picture of this rocker.
Can I sit in it?
Yeah, we see. Well, that's not necessarily that
No.
someone died in it.
I can't sit in it.
No, I wouldn't let you.
Why?
Oh,
I'm God. It's not gonna do anything to me. I don't believe.
Mm.
what do you think happened with this chair?
I think somebody's just attached to it. I think it was
Okay.
somebody's favorite chair, and that's what
Okay.
they came
Alright.
back to.
That makes sense.
Or somebody's energy, somebody might have died in it. I don't know.
So
I mean,
we have
you-
reincarnation.
if you-
We have coming back and doing
Yeah.
something out. We have heaven. We have hell. We have
there's different paths to take. You know,
all that options that are speculated.
How
You're
could-
like,
Yeah,
go
no,
in this
I don't believe
chair.
in heaven.
I really like my microphone. I'm gonna suck into this mic.
Well,
Listen.
or is it the recording of the person basically
Right,
in it?
right.
So not the
Oh, it's
There's
a
could
snap
be-
shot.
and
So
it could have
it's
been
a residual.
yes, it's
and it
not
wasn't
the
whatever-
active
I hate that
person.
too.
whatever you hate the idea of a, like a-
Yes, but
See, and I
that
think
your
that's all
energy
getting-
just walks up and down the stairs for all eternity.
But
I-
it makes sense in that
but
something
in
you can record
time.
something like a record,
right.
is just plastic, but it can get sound.
Out
and
of
music.
everything
Right.
you do
You
in your
know?
life, that's the one snapshot.
I don't know why you would want to. Yeah, why you'd want to live in a chair.
You know,
Right.
people do more than anything in their entire lives. Sleep.
Yeah.
So why isn't there snapshots of just like, oh, look at the bed?
Well, I'm sure there's haunted beds
Yeah.
and stuff.
On a bed frame, I'm sure. It's a haunted object.
there's-
Anyways, let's keep going.
There's weirdos out there that like.
I don't know.
I know you don't. You don't
The
feel it.
afterlife. I feel like it just changes too much.
Hey, it's
too
different,
many-
You know.
But why
They
does
have to
why
have
why
it.
does it have to change? Why can't it?
I'm not. I'm saying I think there's too many variables. I think everyone has.
Well, it's just like life.
Right.
Yeah.
Many
So-
variables. So the next one we're going to talk about is another good name, Theolippus Brown. the skull of
Theolippus.
Theolippus. We'll
That's
just
a
call
cool
him Theo for short because it's easier.
Oh, this one's a good one.
For more than 300 years.
We have an update in the chair. real
Oh,
quick.
oh shit.
I
Sam.
hate that chair. I had a dream that a 12-year-old girl was sitting in it, and I asked who she was, and she turned into a demon and then tried to
Whoa.
kill me.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sam has some bad nightmares.
Can I have that chair?
Can we have that? Yeah.
No,
Can we like
the
live in
chair
that
is
chair?
abandoned in one of my sheds. It's all molded now. Even I just no.
Jeez, I would.
It's-
I would stuff.
I want that chair on my front
No.
porch.
Yeah. I'll put it
I
in
want
my
the
house.
demon chair.
You want it? I'll give it to you, but I don't want.
I
I
have-
don't want
I-
to give it to you. It's safe where it's at.
I have my Jewish mezuzahs to ward off the.
You can
Any-
put it next to your Divic box.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wish I sat there. I wish I had one in my
Just
house.
say it.
And
just
I'm
say it-
like, no.
just say it is one.
What's
When you
this?
get possessed, I'm not
Whoa!
helping you. That'll be beyond
The
my
Dybbuk is
power.
here. Okay. For more than 300 years, a small South Somerset village has been terrorized by one of several haunted screaming skulls across the UK, according to local legend. Chilton Cantello near Yaleville. This is in the UK. Weird names.
Now, most of these, there's like what 12.
there's a
There's
bunch.
multiple.
Yeah.
It's all based in the UK.
Yeah, and like
Mostly, yeah.
yeah, and then a lot of them said it was like a Celtic myth, but then they're not like in Ireland, which is weird. So
It's
like, how is
mostly
the
based in the-
Celtic. Yeah. Wales and
Well,
stuff
like
like
I
that.
have and here's my craziness, or not craziness, but my metaphysical sense and my paranormal sense that England, Ireland, and Scotland all have a different vibration to it. They have a different atmospheric level that holds on to paranormal experiences or like ghostly type stuff or better energy. Well, I think Cape May is the same thing.
Oh, they say that the ley lines and
ley lines and stuff.
and
Yes.
abundance of quartz, which
Mhm.
makes sense because quartz is used to make hard drives which store information.
Mhm.
So if you look at it like that, like it's not that crazy. So the haunted cranium in Chilton Cantello, what a name that is a real human skull that of Theolippus Brown, who died in the village in 1670. It is kept in a wall-mounted wooden cabinet at Chilton Farm in the village. And eerie consequences are said to have occurred to anyone who has attempted to remove it from the farmhouse. Some stories even tell of the skull screaming when moved. Could you imagine? Ah!
No, that's right.
Wait a minute. Ah! 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 Like, it's
It's
what's
like
his
one of
name?
those things that make your hair stand
Yeah,
up.
just keep doing it. This is funny. Stop it. And that's when moved. What was the stories we tell? Okay, so during the English Civil War, Theo Brown had originally been a staunch royalist. I don't know what a royalist is. So imagine
So
Democrat.
this was the British Civil War.
Yeah.
This was people that I believe, don't quote me on this because I didn't do any of the research, but it sounds like people who still wanted to be under the king's rulership, and then people who wanted Parliament,
Okay.
who wanted a little bit more
I
democracy.
figured it's one side and then the other.
Yeah.
However, he became so appalled at the way in which the king's troops treated their prisoners that he defected to the Roundheads. So the Roundheads will be the what are they in Star
like-
Wars? The and then there's the Empire and the Resistance. I don't know.
Resistance.
Yeah, the Resistance. So there we go.
Jedis.
Yeah, well, not Jedi's. They're the Resistance.
Jedis are like
they're
the
trying to get
cops.
the helps of the
Yeah.
Jedi's.
They're like the Jesuses.
Yeah.
That resist.
They're like the real big, like ace in the sleeve of the
Mhm.
Resistance. After-
Calling Jesus.
Yeah. After the war ended and King Charles II was restored to the throne, Theo lived quietly at Higher Chilton Farm with his sister. But he feared that upon his death, his head would be cut off and put on public display as a traitor to the king. Why would you? They're gonna cut my head off when I'm dead. Like, well, you're dead, so what does it matter? Anyway, therefore, Theo made his sister promise that his skull would be preserved in the house for all time. This promise his sister
That's
made.
a fucked up
every
request to
attempt
ask your
fulfill.
sister.
Yeah, can you just keep my head here?
Like, no,
are
you
still
fucking
alive?
weirdo. I'm not putting your head on my mantle.
Because the king's not put on public display. Like, what about when the king dies? Then he probably doesn't care. No one cares then.
He does care because his ego.
The
won't-
next king.
He won't.
Get
He
that-
won't go
get
to
that
the
guy.
afterlife where it's fucking dope as hell and it's like a giant airport terminal and everyone you love is there. You're like, no, my ego's way too big. I need to make sure that my head is on that mantle for
Yeah,
all eternity.
Forever. Oh, Theo. So when Theo died,
You deserve to be a ghost if you choose that.
Yeah. His head was removed from his body and kept in the house. Think of that. His head was removed from his body and kept in the house.
Yeah.
And the rest of his body was buried in a crypt beneath the village church. It is reported that during restoration work at the church, his tomb was opened and that Theo's skull was found to be missing. Eventually, Theo's sister died, and the farm has since had a number of different owners. It is reported that several attempts have been made over the years to dispose of the cranium or move it. But whenever this was done, here we go, the most frightful screams were heard in the house, accompanied by poltergeist activity.
Wow.
Theo gets pissed. But, like,
It's still his house, goddamn.
I guess so, but
No,
like,
it's not.
the king's long gone, so what's his name? What's the Harry, whatever it is? He ain't gonna take the skull. Look at this fool from the trader of 17, whatever. The hauntings are well documented, and a manuscript at the farm is reported to contain written accounts from a number of people who attested to the phenomena, resulting in an attempted moving of the grisly item. The tale was first committed to a paper in 1791 by a guy named John Collinson. On history and antiquities of the country of Somerset. That is terribly British. Mr. Collinson wrote, and this is even more British. If removed, it made horrid noises, portentive of a sad displeasure. That's very nice. Like, were you offended? Or I don't.
He does not like it.
Yeah, a sad displeasure. In a recent webinar from scientific
Screams
study,
bloody hell.
yeah,
What the hell?
scientific study of anomalous phenomenon. I don't know that word. Her name is Caroline McKendrick. She said, since the death of Theo, there has been numerous attempts at moving the skull to remove the skull to return it to its rest. To remove the skull and return it to the rest of his remains, wherever underneath the church. And simply removing from the farm, however, it is quickly returned to its resting place inside the farmhouse because the people are so terrified once they do
Give it to
remove
me.
the skull.
I will run that out like a running back in the
Put it
NFL,
right back, yeah.
and I will chuck it in the woods.
So they can't even get from the house to the church. And it's probably not that far because it's just the shit hits the fan then. So
I'm willing to try. Call me in.
So like I said,
Call your boy.
Yeah, when the
Fly me
skull,
to England. I'll make sure you never see that skull ever again.
yeah, to what's the name of this?
I promise.
Chilton
You're gonna lose tourism. But
Cantello. When the skull is removed, poltergeist activity is said to occur. So, and one man is said to have died after being hit on the head by falling roof slates from the chapel church when he tried to bury the relic on the church ground. So this guy tried to take the skull back and bury it, got hit in the head, and he died. The last time the skull was removed from the farmhouse was as far back as 1770, when a groundsman of the church believed he was doing the right thing by attempting to place the skull back into the ground, giving it a proper burial. The story goes that just as he completed the digging, his spade broke, that's a shovel, in two. He saw this as a bad omen and returned the skull to the farmhouse. Fuck, better put that back.
how did he dig it back up if his spade broke?
Yeah. Well, he just used his hands. So that was probably the final attempt at burying the skull. That guy's shovel broke. He had to put it back. One guy died. Their guy's shovels broke. I don't know. I think I'd rather take the shovel break.
Yeah.
So a guy named Peter Underwood stated in his book Ghost of Somerset that in 1985, this book was in 1985, that since the last attempted burial, there have been occasions when the skull was treated with disrespect. He wrote that in 1826, during structural alterations to the farm, workmen took turns using the skull as a mug for their beer,
Oh man.
passing it from one person to the next. But notice they were still on the farm. Following this, noting nothing untoward
Why
was
didn't it
reported.
scream?
Yeah, hold on.
No.
Suggesting that only the removal or attempted burial of the skull could cause paranormal phenomenon. As long as the skull was in the house, anything
You can
goes.
drink from me.
Yeah.
Just don't take me out of the house.
Yeah. That's something. Pass around the. Why would you? The dirty old
Why
skull.
dirty? Yeah,
Ugh.
like that would be gross.
Hey, mate, have a look at this.
Some people,
Oh boy,
the new thing is people drink from shoes.
really?
What?
Yeah,
When it, like, just,
They pour like they literally take your shoe off your foot. They pour a beer in it and drink. Like it's
that's awful.
it's disgusting.
Yeah,
But that's like the thing.
and it
So
would soak through the shoe. And,
yeah, it's gross. And your foot sweat and everything's all in there.
No
Yeah,
thank
and you're
you.
drinking it. So I mean, if you asked me if I would rather drink from a skull or a shoe, I'm going with the skull.
yeah, probably the skull would be
Yeah.
probably cleaner because it's been sitting. I mean, dusty.
Yeah.
I love.
Dust.
Have a whack at his skull. So, but on the other hand, in 1977, some researchers examined the skull. Two of them moved it with their bare hands and were heard making jokes about it. Remember the disrespect and
Uh-oh.
questioning the authenticity of the legend.
Wait, did anyone die who drank from it?
No, because that was in the house. They didn't take it out of the
Okay.
house, so they're okay.
Okay.
You'd have sex with you.
But this one,
yeah,
crack jokes.
yes.
Okay.
But when the two men set off to London, though to return to London, one of them thought he saw a car with bright headlights coming towards him. It's that guy from Clinton Road. So he swerved and crashed his car, and he was injured. just injured, didn't die. The other man was badly burnt when he dropped a cigarette onto the leg of his pants. A much more sinister version of events in the story was that the male involved in the road accident was actually killed. They were talking trash on the skull, but they were in the house. It doesn't say that they removed the skull. So maybe they said some things the skull didn't like. And that is all there is about.
Wait till that cocksucker lights up his cigarette.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make him burn his leg.
Theolipus
But the other
Brown.
two died, right?
Allegedly.
Is that what you?
That's what it said, that the guy in the car possibly died then
So
because he disrespected the
this
skull.
just feels
but the
to me-
guy is drinking out of the skull, but maybe he was a party guy. Theo.
Yeah, he loved it.
Yeah, he was like, "Hey, drink out my skull, fuck it."
I think that's dope.
Yeah, just don't try and leave out the premises.
Yeah.
So that is the story of the skull of Theolipus Brown.
Dude, all these I guess when there's items involved, it and then there's these stories come, it just throws so many flags, like the Annabelle stuff. I'm sure we're
Mhm.
gonna get to it, but just like
Yes, we will get to Annabelle.
if a guy,
We'll get to the Warrens.
the
too.
guy
They're on
talked
my
about
list.
it, and then he died in a motorcycle accident.
Yeah.
But people
you
act
get
like he died in a
cursed.
motorcycle accident, like immediately leaving the house, and it was like, no, he died like 8 months later on a motorcycle because he was driving it in the rain.
Oh,
Like,
you know.
you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Her powers take a long time to work.
Yeah. Well, I have one more story about skulls, about screaming.
Do all
skulls,
these
if we have
locations
time.
in any research? Did you guys find if are these tourist spots where people come and they pay money to see?
I
this?
think
the
for the
spooky
first
skull.
one, for the Betascombe, you can.
Yeah, the Carthage, this one here, the Calgarth, it's like Calgarth mansion one. No, this one is in ruins now, they say.
Yeah,
Interesting.
so some you can, some you can't.
Oh, you don't want to leave your house, bitch? Burn it down.
Yeah.
You're gonna be cremated with your house.
So my story takes place. This two screaming skulls. This is two. It was a
Ooh.
husband and a wife.
2 for 1.
Yes, two.
Lover screams.
I hope they're moaning.
Not really, not in a
Ugh.
good way. 1600s this took place, and it was between two different people. One couple, one older. In some stories, they say they were an elderly couple. Some other stories just classify them as a couple. It was Craster and Dorothy Cook,
Ooh.
and they had a little plot of land in Cumbria, England, and they were farmers. And
Insert
they just so
11-year-old joke there.
they just so happened to live by this man that was the magistrate. His name was Miles Phillipson, and he was very big on acquiring land and
Sounds
more
like an old
wealth.
jazz musician.
Well, Miles Phillipson. So he was acquiring more land and kept offering them more and more money to give up their land, give up your farm, go somewhere else so I could have this land that has a lakefront view and I could build my new house on it. They kept saying, no, we're happy where we're at. We're not selling.
We like the lakefront view.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Who
then
wouldn't?
he eventually supposedly washed his hands of it and said, all right, let's make friends. Come over for my Christmas Day dinner. Come to my Christmas time dinner
Shenanigans.
and enjoy and partake in the festivities. It's fine. It's over. I'll build my house on the land I already have. Well, this was a big coup, in other words, I guess you could say, because when they went there, they apparently didn't fit in with the rich crowd, of course, because these people were common folk. They weren't like the magistrate. They didn't have that much
Papas.
money. So they kind of like came in, ate a little bit, and left right away. And then the next day, the Royal Army marched upon their little farmhouse and arrested them right away for theft,
Mm-hmm.
because the magistrate claimed that they stole a silver bowl from the table that night. So, in other words, this magistrate kind of
Planet.
planted this. Yeah,
Like a cop on drugs. And what's
Ye-
that?
yeah, they planted the silver bowl in this old couple's house, took them, arraigned them, sentenced them to death, because at the time in the 1600s, theft was a capital punishment. So upon their death, upon their hanging, Dorothy Cook screamed a curse at Miles.
Do you have the
Phillipson.
curse?
Yes, I do.
I have it too.
Do you have it?
Yes.
Do you
she
have
said.
the Old English version?
Yes,
She
I
said,
do. You want me to read it?
"Fuck."
Go
in
ahead.
a
You
female-
read it in Old English, and
British
then
accent.
I'll translate it then
Oh,
afterwards.
cool. So,
It wasn't just shit.
yeah, no, it wasn't. Fuck,
She-
curse forever.
She cursed them.
Hawks to hear, Miles Phillipson, that tiny lumber land is the dearest ground the Phillips has ever built. For ye shall prosper nevermore, yes, nor yan of it to breed.
I could never.
And while Calgaff's strong woes shall stand, will haunt it day and night.
I'm like, what are you even saying?
Well, here's what.
Hanger.
Hey, shut up, you bugger. You're hanging there. You're going to do it. So,
Yeah.
Bout.
So yes. So this loosely translates to what I'm going to say here. This is what I kind of got from it was, and I saw other people's translations because that Old English is
She said,
kind of tough.
she said, you fucked me over.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
wait,
fuck your shit up.
She said the tiny lump of land, right?
Right.
It was very to the dearest grund of Philipson has ever bought. So it was the nicest land of Philipson. Has
No,
ever
in other
had.
words, she was saying
Yeah.
this tiny lump of land you had lusted for was the dearest your family will ever pay.
Okay.
So, or stolen land, in other words. She warned that he would never prosper
Yeah.
and never would his descendants. So he would never prosper. His son would never prosper. And none of his descendants,
Nevermore.
none of his descendants would prosper after
Nor
him.
Yan ought to breed.
Yes. And every scheme he undertook would either wither in his hand or the time would come where no Philipson would ever own a single inch of land again while at Calgarth Hall. And she stood at, what is it? Has she stood at her husband? What did I write in here? Terrible hand.
I was going to say, shortly after execution, right? Two
Yes.
skulls appeared in the Calgroff home.
Yes.
They screamed loud every night.
Every night.
Although they were removed from the property, they always appeared back in the hall. That's the mystical powers that come back.
Yeah.
Philipson faced many hardships because of the curse? Question mark. The skulls were eventually boarded up in the walls of the house.
with an exorcism.
Yeah. What do we do with them? I don't know. Put them on the wall. What do you take them somewhere?
They exorcise after the Philipsons kind of died out because they did have hardships after that. They
Okay.
had the Miles eventually nobody would deal with him after these skulls appeared at every one of his parties and was screaming and scared the shit out of everybody at the parties because he would try and get rid of them. He would throw them in the courtyard. He'd go back in and they'd be on the steps. These two people, these two skulls with glowing red eyes.
Ooh, of
They would
course.
throw them in the
Oh.
pond, threw them in the pond,
Yeah.
came back,
Of course.
sat on the steps. They burnt them. They crushed them. They they crushed them with hammers. Like they hit them with hammers.
Yeah, like
and
turn them
crushed
into
them.
like a
Every
powder.
time they would come back and sit on these steps.
That's what they get. Shouldn't have planted that.
But
sort of
then-
thing.
Right.
So they said, put him in the wall.
So, well, this was after the Philipsons had lost the house because the Philipsons, like I said, had fell on disarray. So he had went broke basically and nothing to give to his children other than Calgarth Hall. So the kids got Calgarth Hall, but the son could never make a go at any kind of business he wanted to either. The curse was passed down to him until, what was it, in 1705, the last Philipson heir was at Calgarth Hall and had no pennies to his name, nothing. He became a beggar. He lost Calgarth Hall, became a beggar, and had nothing to his name, no money to his name. So
And then the curse is over. Stick him in the wall.
basically, his family fell apart. Well, the next person that came in was some sort of Dr. Watson. He was a
Ooh,
bishop,
Watson.
and he had an exorcism performed on the house, on the hall, and he boarded them up in the hall, so they would still forever be on the piece of land
Yeah.
and in the hall.
I wonder if this is it still standing? Do you know?
Yeah, there's a picture of it I sent Tony. Did you upload that one?
Oh.
Yes, I did.
So, as we
So,
look at
and
this
then even in this hall today,
Oh,
even
that's
in,
nice.
in this house,
Fuck.
the
and poor people own that? Or they add to it after?
no, see the not the poor people didn't own this. They flattened their little cottage house and made this.
Okay.
Oh.
So that magistrate Miles Philipson had flattened the cook's house, and it was like the day of their hanging, he went and flattened it. They said like he couldn't even.
And
wait
then he
24
built that
hours.
house. So
He built
somewhere
that
somewhere in
house.
that house, there's two skulls on the wall.
Yes,
And that
somewhere
is-
in that house, there's two skulls in the wall.
It could be. I
as
mean,
per the
that's
lore.
a mansion. It looks like it has like
Yeah.
several bedrooms.
And there's still signs of the Philipsons. There's still a big Philipson crest over one of the fireplaces in the house.
That's cool.
So there is still history connected to that house.
They should, they should-
He just wanted that piece of land because he wanted the lakeside view. And
That's
those
all.
two old people wouldn't give it up. So he eventually
and then some said it was a young couple too. I think
blackmailed
that's all.
her or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, some people said it was a young couple.
Yeah.
So you don't know. I don't know if it was an old couple or a young couple.
They should
really.
take that curse and put it on a plaque and put that up above the fireplace too.
Yeah.
And then try and
It's
find the
just-
skulls
it's
with
just
some
crazy. Like if you look at time and history, like we can't get like 10 years nailed down because everyone has so many different experiences or what they experienced or witness testimonies, and even if it's recorded, written down, it still could be perceived wrong because
Yeah.
the person
Right.
who wrote it.
Mhm.
There's even one more story with this, that the Phillipsons, that the son tried to host a party there and host a get together to do with his business dealings. And as soon as dinner was served, the heads rolled through the dinner hall.
That'd be
The
awesome. Like,
skulls rolled through the dinner
this is
hall.
a
And
party.
everybody ran out.
I'd have been like, all right, listen,
this is
Now,
yeah.
I
Yeah.
own this house, and there's these fucking skulls that are gonna fucking put the craziest Beetlejuice party you've ever
Yeah.
seen in your life. Don't get freaked out.
Yeah.
I can't do anything about it. I think people will, even in that time, be like, let's go see
There
what
was some,
happens.
there were some
Yeah.
people that probably like, all right,
yeah,
you know,
well, maybe. And then there were some
skulls
people,
come rolling
the
out.
men.
We
They said
gotta
the men were
No one
really,
got hurt, right?
huh?
No one really got hurt.
No,
Like the skulls didn't hurt nobody.
No, they didn't hurt nobody. They just screamed for hours on end.
Yeah,
they should have
rolled
drank out
through the
of 'em.
dinner
Yeah.
hall. They said that the men went up with their swords and was trying to clank at them like in an old shitty movie. And then they skewered them. They put them through they skewered the eyes through the eyes in their skull and threw them out to the courtyard.
if they were fighting,
I'm
if they were
really-
actively fighting with the skull, that the skull is probably moving, right?
I would
Well,
guess.
it didn't move into the room. But if
Because
you're,
I heard some stories said, oh, the big bright red eyes in the skull, and then some were.
So how would they
glowing
have
green.
red eyes?
maybe they were floating around. I don't. But that's one of the perks
Well,
of the
if
afterlife.
yeah, they could float around if they
Yeah.
come back.
When you
I
get-
mean,
when
if
you
you
get
throw
your-
them in the pond and automatically they're back, that had to be they had
Yeah.
to float
When you-
from somewhere.
when you
I
get
guess.
ghost powers, you can pick. Like it's like a video game. You can pick different
Control weather.
different skills.
Scream.
Yeah,
I
you can't do them all, but
Yeah,
you can pick.
you gotta, yeah. They can't get greedy.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to control weather? Do you want to scream? Do you want to
Well,
be able
you
to
can
float?
get different abilities as you level up. Maybe if you're ghost longer,
Red
you get
eyes.
more powers.
Yeah.
I don't, that's awesome. I'd love to be at that party. Fucking skulls just rolled in. This is a good duck, though.
It's fucking screaming
Yeah.
at me.
Yes, that they rolled through the dinner.
That wouldn't
hall.
stop me from eating.
No, no.
Not used, but I guess back in that time.
Oh, yeah.
The story gets better.
He's the devil.
I just had to add that in there.
Run
sorry.
for your life.
I ain't doing business with you, you
Yeah.
screaming skulls.
Calgarth Hall in Cumbria, England. So that's all with Calgarth there.
Okay,
We
I-
hit all of it, other than his whole family line going to shit
Jesus.
after that curse.
Do you have any? I have a real quick one.
Go ahead.
Get it.
No, I'm
So,
done.
This is real quick. So this is the Tungsten Farm skull. This story is about a skull named Dickie.
I like this one already.
Yeah, it was kept on a windowsill, and its origin is unknown. Could it be the skull of a woman who was murdered in the very room?
No,
it resides?
it was a old person who had slaves who wanted their body to be buried in a certain
Nah,
location.
it can't be the same as that. Could it be Ned Dixon, an ancestor of the farmhouse? No one knows. The skull is said to serve as a guardian of the house, making noises whenever strangers are present. Dickie has also alerted residents to the births or illnesses of farm animals. Dickie has even warned of the coming death of a family member.
Hey, that fucking cow out there is
Yeah.
having a baby.
Oh, yeah. Oh, at the farmhouse, Dickie, tell me we're gonna have more calves. Dickie, like that's so.
And Nana Joe is gonna die tomorrow.
Oh my god.
This skull's
But
useful.
he's more of a like, mine was more of a haunting type thing.
Yeah,
this
that's
guy's
helpful.
he's
Yeah,
helpful. He's a
except-
guardian.
Except for this one tail.
This is a 1900 or 1800s Alexa already.
Yeah.
This is-
So Dickie mostly looked out over the farmlands, making sure nothing was amiss. That is until the bastard railway company tried
Uh-oh.
to build a new track through
Here
part of
comes-
the tungsten
Here
land.
comes the curse.
According to locals at the time, each day the company would start to build the track, and each night Dickie would undo their work. Well, each night he would undo their work. In 1863, a magazine called the Panorama reported it was the steadfast belief that in the district of the ghosts would undo. At the Combs embankment, the work which had accompanied many men during the day, and that Dickie was only propitiated at last by an interviewer.
He did
these
interviews.
words. Yeah, he was only propitiated at last by an interview with the engineer, at which he was promised a free passage over the line forever. I guess they asked Dickie, "Can we please put the railroad through here?" And Dickie let them. So that's Dickie the Skull of Tungsten Farm.
So he was more of the
fun-
guardian.
he's
type.
a fun
Yeah, he's
one.
a fun loving.
So this one has a story, an origin story of Dickie.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So this is a real quick one. Like if
Mhm.
all these skulls, like I found this one article. There's like one little paragraph, but the more you look into them, there's more. There's a
Yeah.
Wardley Hall skull, let me see here. Like we said, the call graph, the
Callgraph
Burton Agnes skull. There's a bunch of them.
Dickie Skull got a movie.
Really?
Yeah, they
Oh
did a
yeah.
movie.
And then the Betascombe has the screaming skull,
Yeah.
which is like 1953 movie. And then there's a nerve one that was made in the.
It sounds very
60s.
similar, like
50s,
Edgar Allan
I
Poe's
think.
story, where like they put the skull on the floorboards.
Yeah, and it haunts the
it
place. And they gotta
screams.
get it.
Is it like the Edgar Allan Poe, the Telltale Heart?
Well, there's two. There's one where he puts the guy in the wine, like in the walls of the wine cellar, and this.
Are you talking Edgar Allan Poe?
Yeah, and then
So
there's
that was the cast of a Montecito.
yeah, and then there's another one where he puts the head in the floorboard.
Okay.
Oh,
I don't
that's
know
the
why.
heart that he buries him in the floorboard.
Oh, it's a heart. It's a
and
heart.
he-
Yeah. And
Oh,
it
and the
beats.
guy-
Then when
they
the,
hear-
when
yeah, I
the,
heard
the
that one.
officer
Yeah, yeah.
keeps when the officer comes in, his guilt just he can just keep hearing that heart, the heart, the
Yeah.
heart, the heart.
Yeah.
He just finally goes crazy and rips it up in front of the officer.
I love the idea of haunted artifacts and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, the idea was cool,
I
but
definitely
there's-
believe it.
A ghost has to attach
Wow.
itself to us.
There's zero chance I'd buy it.
But anything like
Yeah.
even like if God
The-
forbid, say your grandfather's pocket watch.
Yeah.
You don't know.
This
You wouldn't be
watch.
stuck to it.
This watch was.
This watch was up my
Wow.
ass.
What's so different from a haunted artifact or a haunted house? It's
What?
it's an
Nothing.
item. It's a thing.
Yeah, it's usually a ghost is always attached to something.
What is your
But-
favorite thing on this planet?
I don't know. My cat. I'm like if
Okay,
I
well,
had
your
to
cat.
actually
Pick a non-living thing
a non-living thing.
because you can't attach yourself to your cat. Because
I don't know what I would attach myself to. One of my crystals, probably.
Would you attach yourself to
Oh,
a crystal, or would you
uh,
enjoy the afterlife?
No, I would enjoy the afterlife.
Yeah, like everyone's taking
but-
that deal.
But some people don't. Some people, and if it was something like,
maybe it's people that have a bad afterlife coming,
Right.
so that's why they.
well, not even a bad
Stay.
afterlife. I think
Oh, so it's like a loophole.
I
Like,
think
I'm gonna go
people
to
just-
hell, so I'd
Yeah.
rather stay here
when
and
people
be a
sit-
screaming skull.
when people are sad enough, like that story I told about the husband and the wife. I mean, they were cut out their land unfairly. It was unjust what happened to them. They were hung for no reason other than having the land.
So you believe
That's so pissed that you can be so pissed off in that moment and throw that curse like she did. Because like I always say, even curses, spells are like words or spells. When I say
That's
something,
true.
it goes out into the ether and becomes something.
I'm gonna be
Unless
rich?
you go ahead.
Speaking of Doctor Strange coming to Disney Plus next week.
Yes,
That's
it
what-
goes out into the ether
watch
and
it's
becomes
awesome.
something. So I mean, what's to say that when they died on the noose that day, they didn't go into that curse and make that curse happen? 'Cause they
So
were
what
so
is your
fucking pissed.
do you believe there's a higher power at all?
Yes.
Okay. Without getting into what higher power you believe, you think this higher power is like all knowledgeable, all knows what's to like.
Yes, to an extent, but
So if you're dying, he wouldn't be like, or they wouldn't be like, yo, you
Well-
really gonna sit here and fucking be a screaming skull in a house? Like, you see how dope this is here? Like, I got all this for
I
you.
understand what you're saying, but sometimes it's too within the soul lesson.
Yeah, but the whole purpose of this whole
And there are
this realm is supposedly just like
they do move on in time too, I
to
believe.
then go to Valhalla where it's a massive
Yeah.
party for everyone.
Whether it's
But-
Valhalla or Summerland or whatever.
yeah. I don't know. I think when you're
There's
when you're
heaven,
gone,
whatever you wanna say.
either when you're gone, you go somewhere else, or it's over.
That's I often think it's over.
Like if
but-
if you brought in
That is such a sad way of thinking.
a cult, like a haunted artifact,
Mhm.
The ghost came up like, you have my spooky fucking grandmother's ring. I'm like, this is what you're wasting your
Yeah.
entire afterlife on.
Yeah.
Like, you're a fucking idiot.
Well, I
Well,
mean,
sometimes it's not
All right,
actually,
open and
like-
close my
like what we
drawers.
were
Oh,
saying.
you're awesome.
I mean, besides these, yes, these are saying that the souls of the person are attached to their heads, basically, and they're causing.
But why would you
havoc.
want to do that?
I don't know. It's
So
just
dumb.
what they did.
Well,
It's what
people
they,
do dumb things.
People do dumb
I-
things, and apparently,
but
in the
sometimes it's like
afterlife-
it's only that little bit of them, and the rest of their essence doesn't exist. I know the one movie.
Yeah,
doesn't-
like you're
only part of them exists
Your
anymore.
Google hard drive stays here,
Yeah,
but the rest of
the-
it is somewhere else.
Well, it's just gone. It's just like deleted. You know, so that's the one party that stays.
So if
haunted.
this is a residual thing,
Mhm.
and the residual just plays on repeat, and that stays with the skull,
yeah,
well,
If-
how would it be conscious enough to that if it knows I moved it, it's going to scream? If, it,
Yeah,
if
if,
that's
if
not
it's-
residual, then
yeah, then
Yeah,
that is
that's
not
what I'm saying.
residual.
more than residual.
This is an actual
Yeah.
haunt or poltergeist activity, a haunt,
Or what do they call it? An intelligent haunt.
intelligent,
Yeah.
an intelligent haunt.
But I think
See, I would question its intelligence
Wait,
that it's
yeah,
decided
well,
to
yeah.
stay with its dumb skull.
But some people are not
people
smart.
with people with like the rocking chair I told you about, or haunted dolls, or haunted objects. Sometimes they can be an intelligent haunt, but a lot of times I think it's just residual energy that happened to stick with the object. See,
And the energy has intelligence.
I hope one day that somebody inherits my crystal collection and inherits my residual energy that I put into those crystals and say, this really calms me. This really helps
residual
me.
energy is one thing, but like the intelligence of your residual energy to then control the weather and float around and bite people and get in sword fights,
Sword fights.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean, they
these
were
are
actively fighting the
Here's
skulls.
the thing. I love these tall tales, but there's a shred of truth to every little tall tale, I believe.
Yeah, I think they found a skull.
That could, it very well could be. But
But you tell a story and then
Right.
somebody tells somebody else and it changes, and by the time the
Right.
10th person knows, it's a completely different tale.
but
I
it doesn't
agree
mean
totally.
doesn't mean that we can enjoy the tall tale.
I'll enjoy it.
Right.
I don't believe it.
I don't know if they were rolling around and.
Yeah.
Well, I could believe you dying and putting a curse because you hate the person
Yep.
that took your house. I could believe that.
Oh,
Now,
yeah.
is the curse real? I don't know.
Yeah.
But I can see person dying and being so attached to it. But then after a point, okay, let's say that the ghost is real, right? And they were attached to the house and they wanted revenge.
Yeah.
At one point, is your revenge fulfilled?
So
like the
are
Punisher
currently-
lost.
I would say once their family line died out, what she said,
Yeah.
none of your people will prosper. So once that last Phillipson was a beggar and lost Calgarth Hall, then it was over.
And it was like tore down or whatever, or
Right.
still there. But like
then they said the skulls would only scream or cause havoc on Christmas night or Christmas Day and the day they were hung.
Well, they
so
like
it would
to-
be Christmas night and 4 days after.
I
think it was just to be
known.
known.
64!
Like, yeah, if you're not going to bed, but if it's
That's when that bishop.
No, we're back.
That's when that bishop came in, and I guess when that line was done, he inherited. He bought the hall, or he bought the mansion, and exorcised the demons. And,
Yeah, I think it's fun stories,
and
but like
built them into the wall.
I don't believe them.
yeah, I mean,
Like, I
that's
put
like
zero-
anything, You
Yeah.
believe it.
Like if
choose
you
to
put a
believe it
gun
or
on my head,
not
be
believe
like,
it.
"Do you believe this?"
Yeah.
I'd be like,
No.
I don't believe this."
No, I
you
mean,
just said before you believed it.
I not everything. I
Okay.
said there's a shred of truth in every story.
Yeah, but that's true. Like,
Yeah.
what are people killed in their land taken? Probably.
Do I believe the heads rolled in at the dinner party? No,
Yeah,
but I think it's goddamn fun to listen to it.
Yeah.
You believe the curse?
Yes,
Does the skull magically reappear? Probably not. But, I mean,
wholeheartedly, I believe the curse.
how to get there? How'd that prehistoric skull
Especially
get
in the
there?
sense that it actually happened and the man didn't do.
I mean, the whole story of the family on a decline could be completely
No,
Yeah, but yeah,
can be folklore as well.
not if they're saying that the last descendant of his was a beggar in Carthage Hall, or
They say
Calgarth,
that.
and the bishop bought it after.
You know what's
him.
crazy? Have you ever
Well, how
have you
how
ever done the
could
research?
how could-
Have you
how-
ever done the research of William Shakespeare?
I know you say he never existed.
There-
There's a lot of
there's-
people say that.
He's one of the most famous people in current time, and we have no history if he even was
Yeah.
a legit person.
Mhm.
So because this curse happened, it's
I mean, it's a tale. Like the
exactly it's a tale. Yeah, we have
It's
no
a
idea.
tale, but
But-
I do believe in the power of curses like that. Oh yes,
I mean,
do.
even if someone wrote it down at the time, it doesn't mean
It's
and
what
if you do-
happened.
and if you
happened,
don't do anything to
'cause if I-
counteract it, yeah.
If I'm recording
And
and
he
I hate
didn't.
the guy, he was an asshole.
Or you were just really creative and came up with
Yeah.
good stories.
But I'm saying, like, I could even change mundane things.
Like people believe
You
the
know?
Blair Witch Project first,
Yeah, I know that's the
No.
thing.
you know,
But I'm just saying, like, let's say,
and then modern technology, like,
You-
oh, they're alive.
yeah, you found the town of Frackle, right? But I'm the guy that's writing it down. Right?
Yeah.
So I'm the historian. I write my name down.
Yeah.
And then I'm the guy that found
Well,
it.
that's how
you know?
like
And then I
most
fucking
surnames and
cursed
everything
you,
got
and then
changed.
you got to scream a skull
Well,
on
that's
your
how
head.
most surnames got changed too over time. I mean, my last name Troop. Well, when the census came around, I guess when they first came over from Sweden, my husband's family, or Scotland, I'm sorry,
Oh.
they're from Scotland. But he was in like an order of Vikings actually that settled in Troophead Island over there. So
Oh,
his
okay.
dad done the research around.
Irish
this.
or Scottish Vikings.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yes, they were badass ones that nobody would live on this land because it was icy cold and they would fish. So they were really good fishermen and could fish out of the sea and make wealth and make profit from that, I guess. Anyways, their last name was Droop, Droup, Drop,
Okay, dewdrop.
Draup. So
They changed it. It's weird that like a lot of
when
times
the
they would change
census
things.
came around, they couldn't hear it right, so they went Trout,
Oh,
or
okay.
Droop or Draup.
Isn't that so
So
great? Back then,
They
just
changed it.
It was stereotypical white people. What's your name? I think it's this. They just
Yeah.
write this.
Just
That's
say
what
Jeff.
happened.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me, Jeff.
Yeah. So that's how it
And
was.
he's like, well, he said I'm Jeff. I guess I'm Jeff
They were
now.
just like,
Stuff like that gets changed down through different ears that it passes through. You know what I mean?
I'd just be like, no, that's not my name. I don't
Yeah.
care if you wrote it down.
and they're like, yeah, it's what
It-
paper says.
It is
it's
what
in
it
the
is
book
now.
now.
Yeah.
That's how it was back then. I mean,
So-
what kids, they'd just kill you, you know? So I guess it's my name.
I would just curse them.
You know, if you had a
That'd
real long name, they'd shorten it at Ellis Island. That's what they do. You know, your name is Ratchet. Oh, now it's just Radster. You know, too bad.
be fun stuff. All right, let's wrap this up. Andy, what do you got to plug?
Screaming Skulls. I kind of not really believe, but it's fun. I don't like to advertise wrestling because people might not like wrestling.
Go
You're
ahead.
a
It's what you
personality in
are.
wrestling.
Yeah, I
Yes.
know, but like, you know, if I'm listening to and I don't have a show for there's actually that WXW.
Well, people
in
are
Sunbury.
attaching themselves to us as
Yeah.
the people on the podcast.
I know, but like, you know,
Yeah.
I was gonna
Advertise where you're
advertise something
wrestling
else.
next.
It's Sunbury Ice Rink. That's actually Friday. I forgot about it.
I actually attach myself to
Homicide's gonna be there.
podcasts. I attach myself to other podcasts if they're like, we're all, I do a podcast based on video games,
Mhm.
but I also really love heavy metal music and craft beer. Like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
I can assimilate because I'm also
Yeah.
a craft beer. So if you say I'm a wrestler, they could be like, oh, that's.
Yeah, unless they don't like
Bonus
wrestling,
points.
they're like, stop.
I think if they made it this far, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was gonna advertise the newest Elvira comic, right?
I
It's
got
called-
the 2 new Elvira shirts.
Yeah. I see. I wasn't too big on them. So I know them. Elvira in Horrorland, and she gets sucked into different horror movies.
Oh,
Yeah, and then she meets the main characters. The first one is Psycho, and she meets Norman Bates.
Oh.
And when she goes in the movies,
Are these out yet?
yeah, the first issue's out. When she goes in the movie, right, she can change the movie. So she tells the girl, I forget her name.
Can you
Stacey?
grab me this if you said the short?
Yeah,
next time?
there's one there. The first issue, and then
Yeah.
they do mock covers of the horror movie, right?
Yeah.
And then they do other covers of just her.
Give me that run, and I'll whatever. I owe
Okay,
you
there's only one out so far.
Yeah.
It's called Elvira in Horrorland. So she tells the girl that's gonna get killed in Psycho, Stacy or someone, whatever her name is.
Mhm.
She's like, because she's playing. She's like, I feel like I do this all the time. I come here and I do this. She's like, I don't know what I should do. And Elvira's like, he's gonna kill you. We gotta get out of here. She changes the movie.
So she changes the timeline.
Yeah, because when she goes to the movies, it's that world.
And then Jamie Lee Curtis.
And then she gets sucked out of that one. And the second one, I think, is the third issue is Freddy. I forget the second one is.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So
Yeah.
she's going to different
Yeah, I'll
movies.
definitely grab me an issue. That
Elvira in Heartland is made by Dynamite Comics. Go to your local comic shop. And I
Yeah.
also got the Kickstarter one is the Death of Elvira, where someone tries to kill her to why do they kill her to get money or something like that.
She's a fun
It's a fun book, but that one's only Kickstarter, so you can't
Yeah.
buy it until
until it comes
release it.
out.
Yeah,
yeah, like the Shivani one we like a year.
yeah,
and
it's
a half
still
ago.
not out. Yeah,
Kelly.
I first want to say get well or get better to our friend Jackie that's been on the podcast a few times already. She went through a procedure and she's recovering nicely. So I want to give her a shout out if she listens to get better soon so we can start doing stuff again. My secondary plug here, let me just make sure I'm right, is going to be
as you type away.
there's a documentary on one of the spiritual leaders called Teal Swan, and she, to me, is very toxic spiritual leader, kind of like me and you always talk about, Tony, about these people who really kind of brainwash others,
Take advantage of people.
take advantage. I never liked her from the beginning. When I was really starting to come out of the metaphysical spiritual closet or whatever you want to say here. Oh gosh, no, I can't read. I can't.
It's on Hulu. You said.
It's on Hulu. Yeah, it's on Freeform and Hulu.
And what's it called?
I can't. It's like deep something. Deep End. The Deep End. That's what it is. So it's on Freeform. You could watch it. And it's on Hulu. You can watch it. And it's called The Deep End. And it goes in through and it's like a documentary on Teal Swan and what she does. She's a very shadow work based spiritual leader.
The Deep End.
The Deep End.
Yeah.
Yes. And
Sherry just said the deep end.
yeah, she is not good. I mean, if she helps you in any way, that's great. But I take her with a grain of salt. To anybody, I'd say take her with a grain of salt because she kind of like influences people. If you're thinking of suicide, think about actually doing it and how your life would be better. Like think about like she actually pushes people like that.
Yeah,
She pushes people's buttons.
any
like
of those
that.
people.
And
Take it with a grain of salt.
there's three big things here. There's three big things with her that I'll say. to watch out for with any spiritual leader. In that documentary, there's only 3 episodes up. Oh no, there's 4 now. I didn't see the 4th yet. The first 3 I watched, there's already 3 big red flags with Teal Swan. Anybody that says they want to be the Pope or bigger than the Pope, red flag. Another one that says.
So here's my question: as a spiritual person, wouldn't you want to become bigger so that you have a bigger reach to help more people?
She wants to be bigger than the Pope. Like she wants to have the Pope gone, basically.
Well, if you're anti what the Pope believes in,
nobody else can believe in anything else.
Oh, okay.
So then somebody had challenged her and said, well, why don't you have any mentors or anything? Well, she said, I'm above all.
Oh,
there you go.
So if you're not learning from somebody else, if you're not at least trying to expand your mind on different cultures and mythology or different ideologies and stuff, that's also a big red flag. When somebody tells you, I don't need to learn from somebody else, I'm the all end all be all, I am basically God, walk away.
Sounds very
run.
Cultish.
It is very cultish. She's very cultish. So she doesn't let her inner circle people cannot really get married. They cannot say anything against her. So if you were to come out and challenge her in something, done. Excommunicated and
I don't
done.
understand any of the benefits of being associated with her.
You come in and you have to give up your whole life. You cannot. It's kind of like Scientology. You cannot go back with, like, if you have parents and stuff, you can't go back with them. You have to devote your life to Teal.
Isn't there some stories about with Tom Cruise right now? I didn't read about it, but I heard there's a whole controversy with him now. Where people are coming out saying, no, with him and his whole
Scientology.
Oh,
okay. Stuff. Yeah, they say.
I don't know. I haven't heard anything. All I know is Top Gun was awesome. That's my plug for this week, other than Tornado Tag on Thursday. We're talking Bullet Club.
All right, there it is. Like I said, check out the links below if you would like to support us. There's the Patreon, there's tips, there is merchandise, or you can do the free route and just leave us a review. If you made it this far, take a couple seconds. You can leave a review right now in the comments. If you're watching, go over to Facebook, leave a review, follow us on one of the audio platforms. All of that stuff helps us get in bigger markets so more people can see the podcast and help us grow.
You don't have to type a lot. I enjoy it.
I enjoy this episode.
Yeah, good show.
Screaming Skulls was fun. Tony's an idiot. I don't care. Whatever it is.
Sometimes you're going to sit on iTunes 5 stars and that's it.
Yeah. If you made it this far and word of mouth is helping us grow, help us. That's all we're asking for. Because it's tough.
If you have a few bucks to send us and to support the podcast and everything, that's great. But if not, a share and a like goes a long way.
Yeah. At this point, I'll take the share and the like and the review over anything.
Mango Ball helped last.
Oh yeah,
that's right.
It's pretty cool. All right. Yeah, like I said, help. Oh,
keep in mind too, full moon tonight, like I said before, and also summer solstice. Summer solstice is next week. That is Lilitha or midsummer solstice. So next Tuesday, that is. So that will be the longest day. So we'll have the longest period of 24 hours of light.
That is true.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's celebrated as the high point of like masculinity, high point of charging, manifestation, high point, like that kind of thing. So
cool.
I'll have a little post on it later down the road on our page. So.
Yeah, check out the social medias. We're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok.
TikTok's doing well. We're almost at 500.
There you go. We're halfway at 1,000. We can go live and do cool things with that.
Oh, okay.
So support helps us out. Thank you guys so much. While this intro music is playing, leave a little comment. Let us know what you thought of the episode. Tell us if you learned something. What do you think of the skulls? Do you think they're real? Do you buy into it? Do you want a screaming skull of your own, like a pet Furby?
Do you want
like a pet Furby?
Yeah. If you were a skull, would you scream? What would you scream?
Yeah.
Let us know all those.
Just moan.
Let us know all those amazing answers that we need to know. Like
the beginning of that White Zombie song. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun.
I would be a skull that would just string Rob Zombie Dracula.
Yeah.
Or did I am the one for all eternity.
Oh God.
They're like, I don't even know this song. You just keep singing it. All right, we'll see you guys next time. We're out of here.
Bye.